Hello to all the followers from Rock Metal Peru. Today we have a very special interview with Russell Lissack. He's a guitarist from Bloc Party. Thank you, Russell, and thanks for accepting our invitation.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
To begin with this interview, can you share a bit about your earliest memories related to music?
I think there's several kind of moments I remember from my childhood that were kind of the key musical moments. I remember my sister, she's older. I remember her kind of playing like vinyl records in her room, and it was kind of like 80s, 1980s pop music. And I remember lots of that kind of resonating with me, not really knowing what it was, but just finding it kind of interesting as a child. Then I didn't really get into music, like my own music, until I think I was a teenager. I think it was more, I was kind of aware of pop music that existed, but it was when I was a teenager at school, and my friends started introducing me to kind of other genres of music, like kind of rock bands and things that I kind of was like, oh wow, there are lots more types of music that I wasn't really aware of, and these types seem to really resonate with me. Um, but yeah, I think at that point, it was still only about listening to music. It didn't really cross my mind that you could make your own music as well. That it kind of came shortly after, but at first it was just kind of exciting discovering this new world of all these different artists and genres to kind of investigate, and it felt like kind of unlimited almost at that point. There was just so many things to listen to. And I guess at that point, because it was like 1995, maybe 94, you know, uh, people didn't really have internet access then. So when you wanted to listen to music, you had to go and buy it, or you had to borrow it off a friend, or hear it on the radio. So it was quite it was like a slower process, I think, than now, where you can kind of instantly listen to everything whenever you want. It was kind of, oh, I've discovered this new band, and then over the course of weeks or even months, you kind of investigate their catalog and find it that way. So yeah, it's quite nice to look back on it and see how gradual it was at that time. So yeah, they're kind of my earliest memories of discovering music.
Great. Talking about your technique, maybe I think you're influenced a lot by Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead. I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when I was again a teenager, Radiohead were one of my favorite bands, and one of the favorite bands of my friends who kind of listened to similar music to me. Um, I think once I started playing the guitar myself, Radiohead really resonated, because they were doing things with guitars that seemed quite different from what most people were doing. It felt like it was more than just playing the guitar, playing chords. It was like, what can I do with the guitar? What sounds can I make with the guitar that don't aren't traditionally associated with it? And then that was really kind of, I know me and a couple of my close friends at the time, it really kind of excited us, and then it kind of sent us down this path of like, how do we do that? How do we achieve it ourselves? What else can we do? So yeah, like Radiohead, in general, as well as Johnny Greenwood, were kind of certainly influential on that front.
Yes, he's a great player also. Okay, Russell, talking about the Bloc Party albums, Silent Alarm is an iconic album that has made a lasting impact on music. Could you comment on the recording and composition process of this record?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, Silent Alarm is almost 20 years old now. It feels kind of crazy to think, but yeah, you know, the writing of it, I guess, you know, it's this. I think it's, you know, it's a common process for a lot of groups where your first kind of album is composed over like your lifetime leading up to that point. Like everything else you do after that is generally condensed into a shorter period of time. But you know, that was like the summary of everything we kind of, from the moment we became musicians to the moment we recorded it was kind of what everything built to. I think you know, it felt like the summary of the best ideas over the period of I guess maybe like 5 years since we started Bloc Party. So you know, a lot of the songs kind of existed for several years, and they evolved over that time. And then the actual process, we went to Copenhagen in Denmark to record it. It was kind of someone, I think our producer Paul Ackworth, I think it was his suggestion to go there. And we, you know, we never really recorded properly before, so it you know, everything was like a new experience for us. Yeah, and you know, it was just kind of exciting and unique being in this studio as much as we wanted to be. And you know, the studio had lots of random kind of old synths and bits of equipment, and we could just mess around with things. So you know, we were kind of free to experiment as much as we want. And I think, you know, we had like I guess like the naivety of youth, of there not being any kind of rules or anything. I think because we signed to a independent record label at the time, and they were great because they gave us like the freedom to do whatever we wanted. So there wasn't, I don't think that there wasn't any kind of expectation of what we were going to do. It was just, you know, go and do what you guys want to do. And so yeah, we had the kind of the complete kind of freedom just to follow the vision of what we had at the time. So yeah, it was a good process. I kind of look back fondly on.
It's an incredible album. It was the first I listened to when I in 2008, I guess. It was incredible for me. Excellent album.
Oh, thank you very much.
And talking about the lyrics in Awaken in the City, they feel more introspective and personal, with a high emotional impact. How did the band's personal experiences influence in the composition of the lyrics in this album?
I mean, I guess I always find it hard to answer questions like this because you know, I didn't write the lyrics. You know, the vast majority of the lyrics Kelly wrote. Occasionally, Gordon, our old bass player, would write his own lyrics. So, yeah, you know, I've never been involved in that process, so I like, yeah, I don't know how much insight I can really offer. I'm afraid, like, it's not something we ever discussed as a band as well. I think, you know, like I always had faith in Kelly for him to like deliver on that front. Like he had faith on me to deliver with the guitars. And yeah, you know, I think for better or worse, the band's always been had communication issues, but you know, that was kind of built on a as far as the music went, it was built on a foundation of trust. So everyone kind of had faith in one another. But yeah, in terms of the actual content, I'm like, yeah, I don't really feel like I can offer any insight, I'm afraid.
From your early albums like Silent Alarm or A Weekend in the City, to more recent ones like Alpha Games or the High Life EP, how do you feel the band's sound has evolved?
I think the thing for Bloc Party, which has always been like a common theme for us, is we've like always wanted to try different things, you know, from day one and until now. You know, like it's never really appealed to us to repeat ourselves. You know, I know it was like a bond we had in the first place was that the artists that we kind of mutually enjoyed or respected were people who, you know, kind of did progress throughout their careers. You know, like we said, people like Radiohead or David Bowie. You know, people whose musical output was something that always changed. Whereas the bands that were quite formulaic, like that was off-putting for us, and it's been, yeah, I think we've always felt like that. So I guess like sometimes that was kind of the foundation that underpinned our kind of philosophy for writing music. And then in terms of each album, I think, you know, there was always part of a conscious decision of, okay, what is this going to be compared to what we did before? So like, you know, I think from the Weekend in the City to Intimacy, that, you know, we started incorporating more and more electronic elements into what we were doing because, you know, that's what we were excited about at the time, and the kind of the different production techniques. And then with the fourth album, you know, then we made a conscious decision of, okay, we've gone in quite an electronic direction, so let's go completely the other way and do something that's a very kind of raw rock guitar album, you know, and something like slightly heavier than we've ever done before. So yeah, you know, I think the sound has always changed, and it's just where we're at that moment in time, what's inspiring us, and what direction do we want to go without going somewhere that we've already been before. So yeah, it's very dependent on where we're at in that moment in time.
I wanted to talk a little about your project, Pin Me Down. As an artist, what differences do you find in your musical expression between Bloc Party and Pin Me Down?
I think what we did with Pin Me Down was a lot more. I mean, a lot more, but I think it was felt more pop based. You know, as a Milena, who's the vocalist with Pin Me Down. You know, it felt like her kind of style and influences were more pop based than what Bloc Party was doing at that point in time. So yeah, for me, it was you know, it was quite fun to take that more of a pop approach to things. I think also just like with any collaboration, you know, it's exciting because what, you know, the person that you're working with is going to do something different to the other people that you normally work with, and you know, those kind of unexpected variations are what makes it exciting and interesting. So then, you know, the way that they react and the way that they hear it then influences what you do, and it ends up, you know, creating something new and exciting. So yeah, it's always enjoy working with other people and just kind of seeing what direction things organically go in. It's a nice part of the creative process.
How do you believe your music is perceived live compared to the experience of listening to your recordings? And what's the connection with your audience during concerts like?
I guess the thing about live is there's an energy, and I think we've always been quite a frenetic band in our performances. I think we're somewhat notorious for playing songs a little bit faster than they are on the recording. I think and that just feels it feels natural for us to kind of feel that energy and that adrenaline, and it kind of accelerates things, and then that energy kind of bounces back and forth between you and the audience, and it's kind of a self-fulfilling thing. The more excited people get, the more excited you get, and the more it kind of reacts. So I know personally, I think with the last album, I think probably for everyone with the last album, there was like a desire to kind of like capture that energy in the recording, because the fifth album, Hymns, that we did was a lot more down tempo in places. So when it came to kind of touring it had quite a different vibe to it. And I know for me, it kind of made me, pine for the energy as well. It felt like, I really enjoy the performing part of being a musician. It wasn't something I expected to enjoy when we first started. I found it quite terrifying for the first few years. It's just it's quite an odd experience, but now it's my favorite part. And so kind of trying to capture that energy was it felt like it was a big part of the inspiration for the last record.
Do you have any exciting future plans or projects you're currently working with Bloc Party?
We don't have at the moment. No, we just finished touring. We were touring in Australia and Asia with Interpol, which was fun because they were one of the first bands that we toured with when we kind of started out. So it was quite nice to kind of reunite with them and tour again. And we just got back a couple of weeks ago. We're doing like one big show in London next summer, kind of like a big 20th anniversary thing where we're going to play all the songs from Silent Alarm and lots of kind of other favorite tracks. So that'll be really fun. I think it's going to be our biggest show that we've done in the UK. But that's the only thing that Bloc Party have planned next year. And then I don't know what happens next. It's kind of up in the air at the moment. So might be a what's the word? A hiatus, as they call it, for a while. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Russell, what advice would you give to young musicians who are trying to make a career in the music industry?
What advice? It's hard now. I think like it's weird because on the one hand, it's like kind of easier to be a musician than ever. I think, or it's easier than ever to make music. Because people have access to the technology to make music like never before. You can make music on your phone, which is great, and you can upload it yourself and so on. So the kind of accessibility is great, but it's also really hard to get noticed because I think more people than ever are kind of making music and being creative, which is great, but it's hard to stand out. I think a really important thing now more than ever is kind of to like diversify what you do, like, not just to do one thing. Like if you play guitar, then what else can you do like beyond that? Like, okay, maybe learn different styles of guitar, maybe learn how to program or do production elements. Like the more you can do, I think in this day and age is a real kind of asset. If you can kind of spin lots of plates, that seems like a good skill to have now more than ever.
Nice advice. Thank you, Russell. And finally, Russell, would you like to send a message to your Peruvian fans who are looking forward to see you perform live with Bloc Party here in Peru someday, maybe?
Yeah, no, hello Peru. We've never been to Peru. I'd love to come and visit. We haven't spent a lot of time in South America in general, so yeah, I hope one day we can come and play in your country, or if you can come and visit us in the UK, then that would also be lovely. So we can meet in the middle somewhere, perhaps. But yeah, I do hope one day we can make it out there. It'd be great to see more of that part of the world and more of your country.
I hope to see your band someday. I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Russell, for your time. All the best for you and Bloc Party.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.